We are Makilala TV, the first Filipino-American TV talk show in the New York metro area. Get to know us as we talk to the community leaders, innovators, advocates, and emerging artists who affect Filipino-American life.
Welcome to Makilala TV, the first and now longest running Film TV talk show in the New York metro area. And today we will celebrate the voices and stories of Filipino authors making a difference in children's literature. Today we have two special guests who are not only talented authors, but also passionate advocates for diversity and empowerment. First, we have returning guest Deirdre Levy, a special education teacher and the author of Bodega Princess. Deirdre's dedication to teaching children on the autism spectrum and her commitment to combating ignorance through Filipino books in classrooms make her a true inspiration. As a founder of NYC Filipinos, she is on a mission to provide access to Filipino literature by Filipino authors, promoting cultural understanding and inclusivity. A proud New Yorker with a heart for healthy food options, Deirdre's work is a testament to her belief in the power of education and representation. Joining Deirdre is Kathryn Serrano, or Kat for short, a filmmaker and the author of Kalayaan, Filipino Heroines of World War II. Kat's creative spirit and passion for storytelling shines through her work, from the short film, A Passage to Hope, to her children's book honoring Filipino heroines. As a mother of three, Kat's journey as a filmmaker and author is a testament to resilience and courage. Drawing inspiration from her experiences, she spreads positivity and encourages personal growth, inspiring others to overcome challenges and create a meaningful impact in the world. So whether you're a parent seeking diverse stories for your children or simply someone who appreciates the power of literature, you won't want to miss this conversation. So Rachelle Ocampo, I'm joined with Cristina Pastor. Welcome Deirdre Levy and Kathryn Serrano to the show. So my first question is, what inspired you to write your books? We'll start with Kat.
Okay. So for me, it was my younger self. I wish that I had, women like this that I knew about when I was growing up. So probably would have helped with my identity crisis growing up. I didn't really have a lot of Filipinos around me. I didn't, my friends were all like everyone else but Filipinos. So really writing about them was great for my younger child.
So this book of Filipino heroines, it's not just any typical Filipino heroines.
No.
Why did you choose World War II Filipino heroines?
So interestingly enough, I actually found out about Remedios Gomez probably first. She was a beauty queen, and I resonated with her because she was all about fighting with her nails done and her makeup done, and she was like fashionable. So I was like, oh, I love her. Mm-hmm. And then I found, all the other women, and it just so happened that they were all a part of World War II. And then going back and digging into our history, I'm like, my grandfathers were actually, my Lola's father was taken by the Japanese and killed. So it resonates close to the family too.
Okay. And Deirdre, what inspired you to do Bodega Princess?
Well, I really love my community, and I love the school that I'm teaching at, and the Bodega is a place where all the teachers get their food, and I really love the Bodega guy at our school, and his daughter goes to our school as well. So I think it's really about like helping each other within the community, and I think that's what the book is all about, and ensuring that New Yorkers have good food options to eat.
Is it true that the Bodega Princess is a true story? I read somewhere. Is that true?
So it's based on one of the kids at my school, but it's also loosely based on like the experiences of like growing up in New York, and even Kathryn, who grew up in a bodega in New Jersey. So it's nice because it gives everyone a chance to find a way to relate to the princess, but in a very positive way because she does things for her community. So that's the message that we wanted to share.
How did you guys know each other from before I even asked you to be on the show? How did you guys get connected?
That's a great question.
So before the pandemic, there was a fundraiser for Taal. And that's how we met. And
Taal volcano?
yes, when there was the destruction
Yes.
of, well, when it erupted and there was a lot. So we met through a community event and we've connected ever since then. And I was inspired because Kathryn came out with her book and her publishing company. And
Yeah, Kat, tell us about your publishing company. What is it? What is it about? What is it called?
So it's called Mahal Publishing, all about love. So, I basically, when I wrote the book, I didn't want anyone to tell me how to write my story. So, and moving forward, I feel like I didn't really notice any other Filipino publishers out there, but I found out that there are a lot now.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to contribute this way.
What does the publishing company do to help, I guess, sell your books? Do they have the say of like how to write stories, or?
They do. It depends on where you go. As far as me, I'm more like I work with the author and in helping them tell their story as genuine to them as possible, as authentic to them as possible. I feel like some other publishers may dictate a little bit more about how you write your story. So I just wanted. I'm a creative, so I like to be able to have creative freedom, and the authors that work with me, I want them to have ownership and creative freedom as well.
Yeah, Kat, how much research did you put into your book? Like, how did you choose the women who should be in that book?
So originally there were 10, but I wanted the 10th person is the reader. So at the end there's a picture frame.
Oh my gosh,
that
you're giving
can-
us a spoiler
I
alert?
know, I'm sorry, because it's actually one of my favorites because I love that the children get to write an affirmation for themselves, and then they get to draw themselves in it as well.
Okay.
So it took me about, I want to say 6 months, because this was when COVID happened. So all I was doing was researching about our history and our culture and reconnecting myself to my roots, because I didn't really know a lot about it. So, and then, it took about 6 months for the book to come out.
I love the story of Guerrero, Josefina Guerrero, the leper spy.
Yes.
I read that book, and she was able to, excellent story, she was able to move in and out of enemy territory because she has leprosy.
So they didn't want to
So
touch
they
her.
didn't want to touch her. They didn't question her at all. So that's how she conducted her espionage, right?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God, that's a great story.
Yes, and
That's right.
I wanted children to also, like our children, to have these inspiring stories, to know, especially women, to know, like, we have this. This is our
That's right.
history. These are
This is a
extensions
part
of
of
who
us.
we are. Yeah, this is why we are the way that we are.
That's right.
And it is matriarchal.
I love that. I love that sense.
So how do you, going back to Kat, how do you teach or explain heroism to children?
That is a great question. I think what I focus on is just making sure children know that they can believe in themselves, and that's heroism in itself. I don't try to dictate how, because they're young, some of the readers, so I just kind of expose them to the positivity of what these women did. I don't focus on the whole, war. I focus on who they are as women and the positive contributions that they made, and then that they can do that too.
It's teaching children how to be brave
Exactly.
and confident, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Empower
That's
them.
right.
Yeah.
Deirdre, do you, what has been the reaction to your book so far?
I think it's been pretty exciting. I'm a teacher. I teach K through 2 special education, and I read the book to my students, and they liked it. And we had actually a book launch, in the summer, but we had a reading this past week, and one of my students was walking by, and he came to the reading, and the next day, at the end of the day, I always do a read aloud to close out the day, and he took my book and he was like, "Miss Levy, can we read this book?" And I was like, "Wow, I just read that to you, but okay." So it's nice when you see like your own students reacting positively to like something that you made, and it's nice to see that kind of like reaction, and immediately it was just really sweet. So
What were the challenges to writing these books? Because I feel like, can anybody do it? Is it so easy that someone could just print it at Staples and just start,
And why are there
giving it
so many
away?
children's books being written these days, right? I noticed that too.
Yeah, well, for me, the reason why I wrote a children's book, I believe that you start with the children, you know, and also when the hate crimes were happening during COVID, I was like, you know, they don't know our stories. We don't know our stories, right? So it's like, it has to start somewhere. So
I don't even know these women. many of these women, right?
A lot of women say that. A lot of people say that they don't
A lot
know.
of adults, Filipino adults say that.
Yeah, so that's kind of, I wanted to start with children, so that way, if they know who they are, they can talk to other children, let them know who they are, and then hopefully, you know, people know more about our stories.
Do non-Filipino children read the book?
Actually, yeah,
Oh,
they do.
And they like it?
They do. I did a class of 50 girls, and it was awesome because the questions that they were like, what candy do you eat? Or, you know, or trying to connect, like the sambaguita, one of the girls, her nickname was a sambaguita. She's like, that's a flower where I'm from. And I was like, oh my God, like they're trying to find connection, which was beautiful.
I love
The Sampaguita girl is not Filipino?
No,
Oh, really?
no, she was, I believe, I don't remember what her nationality was, but she was Hispanic, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Deirdre, what were the challenges for you to publish this book?
So I think life happens. And like for me, I like in the middle of this process, like I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and that was a big health challenge for me. And I'm grateful that I had a supportive team like Kathryn and Cassiel. And I think that's like really the power of community, because if you have a close relationship with the people that you're working with, it makes all of the struggles a lot more bearable, not easier, but bearable, because we understand each other. But I think when life happens, that's when you really need to lean on your team. And we really pushed through and made it happen. So it took us a while to get there, at least for Bodega Princess, but we're here and we did it, and I'm proud that we were able to do that. So
you were writing the book when you found out that you had multiple sclerosis?
I did, and I think that made the story even more important, because in order to like focus on my healing, I needed to focus on making sure that I'm going to the gym, I'm eating healthy foods. And for a lot of the students at my school, there aren't that many healthy food options, or in lots of different neighborhoods. And I think food education really matters when you're setting the tone for kids, especially because they really need to learn how to take care of themselves. So that's a big reason why I'm even more passionate about this book.
So these are mostly self-published books, right? Is it expensive to self-publish under your company?
Well, they're not self-published. I'm publishing it for them, so yeah, it's not self.
You finance them?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
Well, hers was crowdfunded.
Yeah, so what we did,
Tell us about that process.
Yeah,
that must have been really
what do you
stressful.
call it again?
Crowdfunding.
Oh,
Yeah.
crowdfunding. Okay, yeah.
So we did Kickstarter. We also did iFund Women. There were lots of challenges along the way, but we did what we can with what we had, and I think that's how it was possible. And even Rachelle, you supported, so thank you. So really, it's really about community, and I think that's really important, especially when you get to know people and you're really there to support each other.
Oh, I see. Okay. And Kat, you don't necessarily publish only Filipino books, correct?
Yeah, it's for diversity. So whoever has a story to tell, I'll read it, and if I can help out, I will. It comes from a place of wanting to genuinely help people get their stories out there.
How long have you been around? Mahal Publishing,
I
right?
want to say 2 years now.
2 years, okay.
Yeah.
Still fresh.
That's right, yeah.
And I definitely want to shout out the graphics.
Yes.
Can you please share who were the people that were behind the graphics of your pieces?
Yes, so Cassiel Santos Garland, she is amazing. She's one of my favorite people. She's been doing graphics for how long? A long time.
I feel like all her life.
Yeah, me too. And she has works, she had a building at Lush, she did her artwork there.
She's Filipina?
Yeah,
She's
another
Filipina,
Brooklyn
okay.
native.
Oh,
I know
okay.
for me, when I chose the illustrator for my book, I knew I wanted her to be a Filipina one. And I also wanted to make sure it was something that would be fun for the kids. And she does a great job.
And you just
illustrating
don't do children's books. Do you do other kinds of books?
Yep.
Oh,
I'm actually working on a memoir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Your own memoir?
No.
Oh, somebody else's.
Someone
Okay.
else's, yeah. Are you familiar with Joe Bataan?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're working on his memoir
He's
right
writing?
now.
He's writing his
Yes.
memoir? Oh.
Yeah.
wow.
Filipino.
So when it's done, you guys can have them on.
Yes, yeah, we'll have them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about who, you already mentioned who got you start the story, but do you have a favorite heroine?
Everyone, I can't. They're all like special in their own way. I always pick Remedios because she was the first one who.
Which one?
Remedios. She's the princess.
Can you read a little bit? So we have a
Sure.
little idea
The prince.
of-
Oh,
She's the one with the crown.
oh, she's not. In
She's
my
the beauty
It's
queen.
not something that you would typically think
Yeah.
of when you think of World War II. Like, why would a World War II heroine have a crown and a gun?
Yes.
A gun.
Exactly, but
Yes,
that's
yeah.
what I loved about her. And she was really. There's also a quote of her saying that she was fighting for the right for her to be herself, because people would always question her and her beauty and stuff. So, where should I the beginning? Okay,
Yeah, sure. Just
okay.
a few sentences.
Okay, sure. Okay, so my name is Remedios Gomez Paraiso, also known as Commander Lee YY. I grew up on a farm in Mexico, Pampanga. I spent my childhood riding horses and watching the farmers who worked on our land. When I got older, I helped my family by selling rice and sewing dresses. I liked taking care of the way I looked because it made me happy, and people called me the local beauty queen.
Love
Oh,
it.
that's interesting. How did you become a guerrilla fighter or something?
So her father was murdered, and then and I'm like,
turned
there
really
is no, I
dark.
know it goes really dark. I don't know if we want to,
Escalated.
like, we're having a good moment right now.
We'll end there. Yeah. I also like the story of Maria Orosa.
Oh yeah,
She's the one who invented a banana ketchup, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Banana
Yes.
ketchup, and she used food. She's a food technologist.
Yeah, she's a
Yes,
scientist.
yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's how she helped
Yeah,
the community.
and she would bring like sneak in food.
Yes,
It's
correct,
awesome.
I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, we're pretty badass.
Are you thinking of doing something like a sequel, like Filipino heroines of the 21st century,
Yeah.
the new millennium?
I am coming up with
Thinking.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Love to hear
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
How do we get into that?
I know.
How do we get into that?
Oh,
list?
she wants to be one of them. Oh. We'll let you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Are you also doing something on men?
Yes.
Oh, really? Oh my God! Did I unveil?
She's spoiling it.
What's in your
No,
plan?
it's
Okay.
it's something in the works that I'm
Okay.
definitely working on. I have 3 boys, so it resonates for me to write something for boys.
Oh, so you're full time. You're full time with this, with your publishing house, or you have a job elsewhere?
We do. I have a production company as well, so I do production, and I also have a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Can you just quickly share your podcast? Because I'm such a big fan.
Yeah,
And I need to shout you guys out.
thank
So,
you.
tell
So
us about it.
I have a podcast called Future Ancestors, and it's about preserving our stories right now for the next generation. Yeah.
You know, there are also Filipino heroines here in the U.S.
Yeah.
Right? I remember Victoria Dreves, right? The swimmer, the Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you doing something like that also?
Present time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
She just wants to find out how she can
I know.
like Cristina Pastor.
We'll talk after. We'll talk
Journalist.
after.
Okay. Next question.
Deidre, can you actually share a little bit more about this story? You said she is a person who is in the bodega. How does healthy food get into the story?
So at our school, we have a grow lab. So there's hydroponics. We also feature a community garden. Also, at the end of the day, there's leftover food. So there's also a community fridge in the neighborhood. So sometimes last year, my students would pack up all the leftover food and they're like, Miss Levy, can you bring this to the community fridge? So I'll do it. And we also don't want to waste food. So we want, because there are people that don't have food, don't have options. So
That's right.
I think just emphasizing all the good things that you can do to support the community, that's something that we really strive for.
So your book is for what age groups?
So mainly like pre-K to 2, which is, I guess, like from 4 to 8, but it's really for all ages. I mean, it's really celebrating New York culture. And I think having Cassiel as the illustrator, she's born and raised in Brooklyn, and it's nice to see like her style in the book
Okay.
because the
It's
story
pretty. I
is
like the
really told through her
illustration.
illustrations as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So other than the woman and the girl that you feature in your books, is there anyone that has inspired you in the community to help continue to empower others?
That's a great question. I feel like everyone that I run into, to be honest, I know that sounds like cliche and like really, but for me, that's really how I feel. I do feel like every time I run into someone or hearing the stories, I mean, when people don't know the women in those stories and they're excited to find out about who they are, I'm excited about that.
Well, I'm curious, are your books in the local libraries?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're working on that.
How do we get them there?
So I think you
Can the community help?
Yeah,
Like,
actually
They can
that's
request that their library carry the book. I know with Brooklyn Public Library, I think there's a place where you can input the ISBN.
Okay.
And I think every different library system has a process. But for the most part, just if you have library and you like the book, then suggest the book to your library.
Oh, because I live close to a library in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
So I can probably mention something.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
And Deirdre, who inspires you in the community, or someone that you know?
Well, I think from my own personal experience, like seeing my students and just making sure that they know what they're putting into their bodies, because I love Arizonas and I grew up on them, but looking at the sugar content, especially whenever my students bring them, I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I mean, like there are other options out there. Like we've made like tea, and just educating them on like what they can eat and what's good for them, because in the long term, it's really going to help sustain them in their bodies. And for me, like that's what I'm passionate about. So I want to make sure that I'm instilling that message to my students.
Is there a second book in the works?
Well, I just want to focus on this
Bodega queen.
and getting through the school year, because as a special education teacher, I want to make sure I'm really there for my students.
Okay. Yeah.
And how do you feel your book has been used to combat stereotypes and racism? Do you think that your book has played a role in that?
She's fairly new. I do think that the people who do read it, that it definitely helps them learn more about our culture. In the book itself, there's a lot of it. You were talking about Josefina Guerrero. She's someone who's sick that, whoever's reading that can identify with that and see that they can overturn that. There's Simeona Ponsalan. She's at the end of the book. She is described as a full-bodied woman who likes to wear men's clothing. So that's also someone that a child can resonate with. And then the scientists, teachers, I mean, I feel like there's representation in the book for everyone.
Did you reach out to the families of these people while writing the book?
I didn't, but ironically enough, after I wrote the book, I met Maria Rosa's niece, and I had her on my podcast. Yes, she lives in Portland. And I actually just met Simeona, I believe it was Simeona, or no, Josefina's nephew. Or not nephew.
Oh, really?
Yeah, someone related to that. So we're going to connect after and talk about it. So I'm slowly starting to meet people.
Wow.
Which is crazy. I'm like, wow. I'm like, oh, okay. And they live here. Out of all places, it's crazy.
The information in your book should help us, the adults also.
Seriously.
Should, for us to get to know them, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't know who they are.
I know.
I only know one or two people, but the rest of them, I don't know.
Yeah, we can definitely do. I'm open to adult book readings as well.
Yeah, we should.
Oh, no, I was thinking, shouldn't there be a non-children type book?
A
version of this one.
There actually are other books out there.
There are already.
There are
Which
already.
is how you were able to research
Through their books and then online. I didn't even, I knew nothing about our history and our culture. I didn't even realize all the books that were out there on us. It's beautiful. At first I was like, I'm gonna write a book because we have no stories. And then I was like, oh my gosh, yes we do. We have so many stories. There's so many books. So
we just need publishing companies like yours to uplift them.
Are you thinking of doing a Tagalog version?
Yes, absolutely.
You too? A Tagalog
Every
version?
idea that you have is she's like, I'm doing it.
Yes, I definitely want to translate it into Tagalog for sure.
So this book will grow some more.
Yes, she's actually in the Ayala Museum in the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, what's next for these books? What do you hope to get in the next year?
I would love to do a book put her in the Michelle Obama library, and also I would love for the First Lady to read the book. You know how they always have like a book that they read like during October? So I would like that to happen too.
Hopefully
hard to
soon,
get
because
there?
then we'll.
I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you never
so
know what's going to happen.
anyone that has a
next couple of
connection
months.
with that, let's make it happen.
Wait,
this is where
have you-
community comes in.
Have you done
Yes.
readings of your books
Mhm.
together?
Not
Same
yet.
event?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
And I know we're going to be closing up soon, but Deirdre, what is next for Bodega Princess?
I would just like to see it out there, and I guess I would really want to continue promoting food education. It's not just a story; it's what happens after that. So I want to make sure that we're continuing that mission of ensuring that people know how to nourish themselves with healthy foods.
I love that story between both of you, that what you're doing now, anybody can do this, and not just writing a book, but being able to inspire others. And with you trying to advocate for food security and food access, I just love that advocacy part of it. We do have to begin closing. So I want to ask the last final question is really, how do we find out more about your book? Where can we buy them? How can we support?
So you can go to mahalpublishing.com. Yeah.
And online, is there like an Instagram, somewhere that we could follow the journey of your books?
Yeah.
So you can also follow, you can get it on mahalpublishing.com, but also follow at Bodega Princess _
Or at Mahal Publishing as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are closing now. And I just want to say thank you so much to our special guests, Deirdre Levy and Kat Serrano of Mahal Publishing and Kalayaan, Filipino Heroines of World War II, and Bodega Princess. So much thanks for you to come out on Makilala TV. We'd also like to thank our host, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, and all of our viewers and supporters. Sa ulitin. Thank you.